Next, what we want to work on is convert to cart. We'll focus on delete in just a while. What we want to do in convert to cart is if there are two products, we want to load them and add them to shopping cart. So for that, what we will do is if we go back to the solution, let's stop it. And if we examine the button here, type is submit. Since we have not defined any action name, it will by default go to the details post. That being said, even if you hit the delete, it will go to the details post because both of them have type of submit and they are inside the common form, which is right here. So right now we won't worry about the delete, but let's work on convert to cart. We will open inquiry controller and we need to add the details post action method. So we can paste it here and we can say this is a HTTP post. With HTTP post, we'll use validate anti-forgery token, and we don't need any parameters here because with details we have already binded the inquiry view model, so that will be available to use inside the details post. So what we can do is we can load the inquiry view model dot inquiry detail based on the inquiry header ID. The reason is if you go here, we have that in the hidden field, so it will be available to use in here. So we'll go to the inquiry detail repository. We'll say get all u goes to u dot inquiry header ID is equal to inquiry view model dot inquiry header dot ID. Based on that, we will load all of the details inside this particular inquiry. Once we have that, we need to create a shopping cart and we need to add that to the session. So we will remove this and we will add a for each loop. We will say variable detail in inquiry view model dot inquiry detail. So for all of the details, we will be creating a new shopping cart object. Let me call this shopping cart is equal to new shopping cart, and we'll be populating the product ID. Product ID will be inside detail.product ID. So once you have the shopping cart, we will be adding that to a list of shopping cart. So let me add that list right here. We'll have a list of shopping cart object. We'll call this shopping cart list is equal to new list of shopping cart. Let's say if there are 10 products or 10 details inside the inquiry, we will be looping through each one of them and we will be adding them inside the shopping cart list dot add, and we will add the shopping cart based on the product ID. Then we need to add this to session. So first thing that we can do is http context.session.clear. Let's clear it out. And we'll say http context.session.set. We have our constants. So that is inside WC, we have the session cart. On that, we want to load it with the shopping cart list. Along with that, when we have values set in session, I want to know whether this session was set using an inquiry or was it set directly without using any inquiry. Because even if you go on the home page and if you add items to the shopping cart, you can also add it in the same session. So for that, if we go to this web constants file, let me create a new constant here and I'm gonna name it as inquiry ID. So session inquiry ID. This I will be calling it as inquiry session. So if we switch back, when we are setting this particular session, we can also set the session inquiry ID to be the ID of the inquiry. So that is inside inquiry view model dot inquiry header dot ID. So if this is 0, that means the session has been set normally, and if there is any value greater than 0, that means it has been set using an inquiry button. Once we have set the session, where do we want to return to? I want to redirect to the shopping cart. So I want to redirect to the index action inside the cart controller. Perfect. So we have done quite a few coding inside the details. Let's give it a try and see if this works. So in here, let's go to inquiry and let's click on details. We have 4 products. Let's hit convert to cart. As soon as you do that, you see your cart is populated with 4 products and you can see them right here. Great, that button is working successfully now. Before we dive into more details, let's go back to inquiry and work on this delete. What that should do is it should delete the inquiry header and inquiry details. Let's do that in the next video.